Hi everyone, welcome to the Tech Talks of FTech, the technology side of Farfetch. I'm Pedro, the communication responsible for the FTech, and I'll be with you during this talk as the host. Thank you for joining us today on this talk to know more about accelerating development with Chassis Pattern. We are going to spend the next hour with Joel Oliveira. Hi Joel. So just
Hello.
to just to introduce you a little bit, Joel graduated in computer science at ISEP, Polytechnic of Porto School of Engineering in 2009, and post-graduated again in ISEP in 2011. He started working in IT as a full-stack developer and became research and innovation area coordinator in 2013 when that company was acquired and became Yap Technology. In 2015, he joined Farfetch as a software engineer and worked in several parts of the Farfetch platform. Currently, he is working in the engineering foundations team, a cross-domain team that aims to improve developer productivity at Farfetch. Before I hand over to him, I just wanted to tell you that if you have any questions during the presentation or some doubts about chassis pattern at Farfetch, you could put your question in the Q&A panel or like other questions. I will collect all of them and Joel will try to answer as much as he can at the end of today's session. Once again, thank you for joining us. And now, without further ado, I hand over to Joel. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here in the FTech.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. Thank you for that introduction. Hi, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. So in this session, like Pedro said, we will be addressing how to use Chassis, a microservices pattern, to accelerate production-ready development. So this is the agenda for this session. In the first part, I will try to give you some context on why we chose the chassis pattern at Farfetch. Then we will go over how we implemented chassis at Farfetch. Then we'll go to a brief live demo where I will be showcasing some of the chassis features from the point of view of a developer that is using chassis. Additionally, we'll go over some of the chassis benefits and we will talk about the adoption of the framework and the future work that we have planned. Then we will have a brief session for Q&A. So Farfetch is the leading global platform for the luxury fashion industry, connecting creators, curators, and consumers. Farfetch platform is supported by 600 plus microservices and by a team of 1,000 plus engineers with offices across the globe in Brazil, China, India, Portugal, and the UK. So one very key concept to understand in this presentation is the production-ready concept. So at Farfetch, for an application to be production, it needs to comply with the set of requirements. So the application needs to have logging configured, and the logs must be written in a format that our infrastructure can index those logs so they can be available to developers to view them. Also, the application needs to expose application metrics. This could be metrics related with HTTP requests, for example, some metrics related with the process that is running the application. So the developers can also see the application performance. Additionally, we also have health checks. So we have three types of health checks being we have a lightweight health check, which we call ping. That is a health check for simply saying that the application is running. Then we have a deep health check, which we call pong, and this health check will check that the dependencies of the application are running and the application is able to communicate with those dependencies. Then we have the ready health check, which is a health check that states that the application is ready to receive HTTP traffic. So this is usually used, for example, for the load balancers to send traffic to the instances of the application. Last, we have tracing. So tracing is basically a number of sample requests to our platform. where developers can trace all the request lifecycle and understand, for example, the queries to the database that originated from that API request, or, for example, trace the request through events or in messaging systems, and also trace the requests through the services that it goes through. So it is important to understand that these are the requirements that our infrastructure needs to have from the application. So each application needs to implement these requirements. As you can imagine, by having to implement these requirements on every single application, there are some challenges that comes with this. So mainly, for example, code duplication. Even though we do have some code libraries at Farfetch that facilitate the implementation of those requirements, having to install the package, set up and configure the package correctly results in having the code duplicated in all of the applications. Also, the time to production. So this having to implement these requirements, the initial setup of the application delays the time that the application has to go to production. And also package maintenance, because developers have to maintain the individual packages that they need to implement these requirements, so they have to update them individually. So what this results is that developers, they have to focus in the initial development in the infrastructure side of the development, instead of focusing solely on the business side, which is their expertise and where they bring the most value. So next to the motivation. So myself, I work at Engineering Foundation, which is a core team at Farfetch. So we are not business oriented. So our team does not focus on the business needs. Instead, we focus internally on the teams at Farfetch. And our main objective is to improve developer productivity at Farfetch. So we want to make sure that developers at Farfetch are able to deliver the best value in the best way possible. And we do this by providing guidelines, by providing coding standards, tools or frameworks for the teams to accomplish their work the easiest way possible. So we saw this as an opportunity to improve the productivity of teams at Farfetch. So having a way to facilitate this initial development, so the implementation of these infrastructure requirements, we saw this as an opportunity for developers to improve their productivity. And also, we could do this, since we have a shared component in all of the applications, we can also use this to roll out new features. I can give you one example. So the monitoring requirement was added a couple of months ago. And because we didn't have that requirement previously, that ended up so every team needed to install the monitoring package and configure that package on every application. So this was very, very difficult to roll out because teams have their own time schedules, they have their own priorities, and having to add that requirement to the teams was very difficult. So we ended up having to create maybe thousands of merge requests to add the package to the applications and configure the package. And even though the change was very simple, we also had to explain the teams the impact of that change, and this caused some issues. So what we did is, with this kind of approach, where we have a single component that is installed on every application, we can use that to roll out this kind of features. So everything that is a cross-cutting concern across all of Farfetch, we can roll out using a framework like Chassis. And also standardization. So by standardizing things like the application configuration file, or even the application structure, it's very easy for developers when they go from one application to other to understand how the application, the dependencies that the application has and so on, because the project structure is standardized. So in this diagram, you can see a typical production application. So in this case, you have in orange the business use cases that the teams implement, but then you have also other cross-cutting concerns. So like I said before, you have the infrastructure requirements being logging, metrics, tracing, health checks, and then you have also other cross-cutting concerns. For example, at Farfetch, every application that handles financial transactions needs to be audited. Also, we have error handling. This is for exceptions that are thrown, unexpected exceptions that are thrown. Since most of the applications expose a web API, that exception needs to be translated to an HTTP response with the correct status code. Then we have some security concerns, like, for example, the HTTP headers that the web application or web API should respond. And also we have a common use case at Farfetch, which is cache. And then we have the dependencies. So typically an application has the dependencies. So the application usually talks either with a database or a cache server or even a messaging system. It could have authentication or even talk to other services. So in this case, the developers need to install the client packages and configure them. Okay, so as you can see, there are a lot of responsibilities besides the business use cases. So this is where we thought Chassis could be an improvement to the previous architecture. So Chassis is a well-known microservices pattern. It was not invented by us. It was something that already exists. And we can define Chassis as a framework for cross-cutting concerns, that being infrastructure, security, integrations, in an easy-to-use and configuration-oriented package that enables teams to deploy production-ready applications faster. So in this slide, you can see a similar diagram as I previously showed, but in this case, the application has Chassis installed. So the previous cross-cutting concerns that the application needs to handle or even implement individually, now they are all being handled by Chassis. So the teams can now focus more on the business use case and less on the infrastructure cross concerns of the application. And how does this work? So Chassis has an application configuration that is provided to Chassis, that Chassis will read, and it will automatically handle some of the things for the developers. So it will configure logging with the correct format. So logs are written with the correct format to be indexed by our infrastructure. It will also add the middlewares necessary to expose the metrics. It will enable tracing and also the health checks. Additionally, the Chassis will provide an API for auditing, for error handling, security, and cache. Okay, so some of these things will be handled by Chassis automatically. And then Chassis also has another cool feature, which is the dependency handling. So in the application configuration, when the developer lists their dependency from these supported types of dependencies, that could be a Cassandra, a Mongo, SQL, Elastic, and so on, Chassis will read that configuration and automatically initialize a client instance for that dependency and register that in the dependency container. Additionally, what Chassis will also do is it will also initialize the metrics for that client. So the metrics endpoint will start to expose metrics for example, a database client it will also add the dependency to the health checks. So the deep health check will also start to check that dependency for its health. And what Chassis also does is that Chassis is a modular framework. So the dependency part, they are extensions to Chassis. So in order for Chassis to not be a bloated framework, the developers will install the packages that they need. For example, if they need, if they have a Cassandra dependency, they install the Chassis package for Cassandra. Okay, and what that package will do is when you initialize the application with Chassis, the package will read the application configuration. In this case, if we are talking about the Cassandra dependency, it will check if the configuration has any Cassandra dependency, and in case it does, it will create a new instance for that client and register that on the dependency container. Okay, and also another thing that another approach that we took when developing the framework was also that we developed the Chassis framework at Farfetch as an opinionated framework. So since our main focus is productivity, instead of creating a generic framework where developers would need to tweak or configure the framework for each use case, since at Farfetch, the guidelines for our infrastructure requirements are the same for every application. What we did is we created the application, the framework to be opinionated. So by default, the application sets, the framework sets up exactly for what you need from the framework without almost any code requirements, so any changes to the code. Okay, so now I will talk about a component that was a complement to Chassis. Even though this is not part of the Chassis framework, it was something that it was very important for the Chassis adoption. So what we did is, since we wanted the teams to be as frictionless as possible when adopting the framework, we created a template generator. And what this does is that it will create a project with Chassis pre-installed. So this is a very simple way so teams can create a new service and have Chassis installed by default. This is currently available through a web application or through a command line. You can see there in the left the web application of the template generator. So you start by stating the technology. So we currently are supporting .NET Core and Python. Then you set the solution name, and then you choose the type of application you want to create. So Chassis currently is supporting 3 types of applications. So web APIs, web applications, and service workers. Then you add some information that it's internal to Farfetch, and at the bottom you state which dependencies your application will integrate with. So what this will do is when the template generates the project, it will create things like the application configuration file automatically with the dependencies that you need. It will also create things like, for example, a Docker Compose file with the containers for you to run the application locally. Okay, so now let's move on to the live demo. Okay, so in this demo, we are going to showcase some of the Chassis features, and we will see how easy it is for a project to start.
Sorry, Joel. Sorry, just Joel, for interrupting you, but just a second, because unfortunately we are having some problems on the Q&A panel, so I would ask everyone to use the chat with the moderator to ask your questions, and at the end I'll do it to you. Sorry for the inconvenience, and back to you, Joel. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Pedro. Okay, so let's go to the live demo. Like I was saying, in this time we're going to showcase some of the Chassis features and you will see how easy it is to create a project from scratch where you can have those infrastructure requirements implemented from the start with practically no changes to the code. Okay, so this time instead of using the web application version of the template generator, I will generate the project using the command line. So here I'm generating a .NET Core project. So this is the usual templates for creating new projects at .NET Core. I'm passing here, for example, the solution name, the type of application is Web API. Then we state here some information that we need internally at Farfetch, the port that the service will be running, and then we state the dependencies that the service will have. So in this case, for the demo, we are using a Mongo and a Redis dependency. So let's create a project. Okay. Sorry, a typo. So here we have the project created, okay? So it created the project with the structure that we usually use at Farfetch. So now let's open Visual Studio for me to show you some other things. Okay, so let's switch here to the folder view. Oh, sorry. So, like I said before, by using the template generator, the project was generated with the Docker Compose already containing the containers to run the dependencies, so a Mongo and a Redis container. Additionally, it also adds other containers. This is a container with the application itself, and containers for unit tests and to run integration tests. This is useful, for example, to run the tests in the pipelines. For this demonstration purpose, we will remove these containers since we will be running the application locally. The template generator also creates, for example, the Docker file, okay, to create a Docker image for the application itself. Okay, so these are some things that can be automated using a template generator. So we also have boilerplate projects for the unit tests and integration tests. For example, in the integration test part, the boilerplate already includes some tests, for example, to check that those infrastructure requirements are working correctly. For example, the health checks are working, the monitoring metrics are being exposed, and then we have the application code. So let me just add this at startup project so I don't forget it. So as you can see in the presentation, this is the presentation layer. So in Farfetch, we use an layer type of architecture. So in the presentation layer, you can see that by generating the template, the chassis comes pre-installed. And also, since I stated that I had a MongoDB and a Redis dependency, the package extensions for those dependencies are also installed in a project. Additionally, the application configuration file is also generated. So this is some information that we are required to have at Farfetch. Then we have some of the logging configurations. So in this case, the logging will be output into to console. We can choose either console or files, and we can also state the log level for logging. Here we have some configurations for the REST API, and then we have the dependencies list. So by using the template generator, it already added my MongoDB and Redis dependency to our configuration file. So let us go over to the application code. So in this case, this is the program.cs. So this is the entry point for our application. And as you can see, this is a little different from when you create an application using the default template in .NET Core. So in this case, we are using the chassis provided application factory, okay, to create an application, and we are stating that we want to create an web API and saying the startup files that we want to use, where we are building the application, and then we are running the application. Okay, so as you can see, we have very little codes here to start the application, and also the startup is empty. So this is where the magic happens. By creating an application using Chassis, besides creating a default .NET Core web host, we are also doing other things. So the Chassis framework is reading this configuration file that we have here. The Chassis framework is also configuring logging, monitoring, health checks, and tracing. Okay, this is done automatically without any input. It is also registering middlewares to handle security headers. It's setting the correct JSON options to format HTTP responses. For example, in case since this is a web API, it is also exposing a Swagger interface when we are in development. Okay, this does not happen in production for security concerns, but in development, developers have a Swagger UI where they can see the controllers and the endpoints they can use. The cool part is also that the chassis is reading that application settings and is also creating an instance of the client to connect to these dependencies automatically and registering those clients in the container dependency. So let me just do something here, because first of all, let's start the Docker containers. Okay, this will bring up the containers that we need. Let me just quickly create a Mongo user, since the Mongo user is not created by default in the container. This is just some simple things just to create a user so we can connect using our application. Okay, user is now created. Let us just change the connection string for Mongo in order to have the user, the password, and the database that I just created. So now let us run the application. Okay, as you can see from this window, the logging is being outputted to console. So logging is configured and with the correct format that we need by our infrastructure. So let us use Postman here to make some requests. So this is just a sample controller that the project generator adds. So we are just making a GET request. The application is responding with a 200 OK. So this just means that the API is responding. But now what we can check is, for example, the metrics. So without any change to the application, if I make a request to the metrics endpoint, the application is retrieving application metrics, and these are metrics related, for example, for the HTTP requests, metrics related with the process that is running, and so on. Also, we do have the health checks. So we have the ping endpoint that is returning 200 OK. So what does this mean is that the application is running. We also have the deep health check. So in this case, the health check is checking that the dependencies are available. So we can see here that we have a Mongo dependency that is available and also a Redis dependency that is available. So as you can see, without any change to the code, and I just created the project and we have all of these infrastructure requirements implemented. So monitoring, logging, tracing, and health checking without me having to make any change to the application. So now let me just showcase another cool feature of Chassis. So I will create another controller here. So let us create a product controller. Okay, so we have a product controller. I'm gonna copy paste some code just to make this presentation a little bit faster. So this is just a very simple implementation of a controller. So in this case, we are receiving a Mongo client instance in a constructor, and we are adding the reference to the Mongo collection, and then we are exposing a get endpoint. This endpoint should retrieve a collection of products that is stored in the database, in this case in the Mongo database. And then we are also exposing a post endpoint to creating new products. So this is just a simple validation to check that the product is not null, and then we insert the product in the Mongo collection. And this is our product. So a simple ID, a name, and a price. So let us run the application. Okay, so now let us make a request to the product endpoint. It should return an empty collection because we didn't add any product yet. So let us add a new product. So let me just change this to posts. So the name of the product could be, for example, like full t-shirt. The price, let us leave like 50. Okay, so let us add a new product. Okay, it returned 200. Okay, and now let us make a get request again. It should return the product that we previously added. Okay, so it's returning that project. As you can see, the Mongo instance was injected in the dependency container without me having to do that. So the startup is empty, and the program CS is also empty. So this was done by Chassis by reading the application configuration, creating a client with the connection string, and injecting that client in the dependency container. Okay. Apart from that, what Chassis is also doing is adding the database metrics to monitoring, and also the Mongo database to the health check. Okay, so as you can see, I needed only to focus on the business part of the application, and I needed only to implement my logic for getting the information from the database and inserting the information from the database. Now imagine that I would like to have some cache. So I'm just going to copy paste again some code, and this is the same as the previous example, but in this case, I'm adding cache. So I'm receiving a cache client, a Redis client in the controller constructor. Okay, this is a reference to the cache database. And I changed the get to check if there are any products in cache. If there are products, we are returning the cached products. If not, we are going through the database and then setting the cache. Additionally, in the post endpoint, we are inserting a product, and then we are invalidating the cache when we insert the product. So let me just add a breakpoint here, just in order for us to make sure that the response is returning data from cache. So let me run the project again. Okay, so now if I make a get request, the first request should not hit the cache. Okay, should go to the database, but the second request should hit the cache. And okay, so the request is hitting the breakpoint, so the result is being returned from the cache. So as you can see, it was very simple. I didn't have to worry about creating a Redis client. It was already created by Chassis and added to the dependency container. I only needed to worry about the implementation logic and not infrastructure side. Of course, if this implementation it's not correct, this code should not be on the presentation layer, but this is only for demonstration purposes. So now let us go again to the presentation. So talking about benefits, as you saw in the live demo, it was very easy to create a service from scratch that implemented all the requirements that infrastructure at Farfetch needs without any code. Okay, so and with the application configuration and the dependencies in the application configuration, the clients are created also automatically. So this is very useful for developers to accelerate the development in the initial phase of the application. And what other benefits do we have? So a uniform design, for example, the configuration file has a well-known schema that chassis can interpret and read, and also developers can easily go from one application to other and understand how the application is configured and what the application is using. This could also benefit other things like automation. So by having a very well-defined structure, we can automate some things to read, for example, the application configuration. Easier maintenance because developers don't have to maintain packages individually. They only need to maintain the chassis package and update the chassis package. Faster development, like you saw, developers don't need to worry about infrastructure cost-cutting concerns, and they can focus on the business logic. And from the start, the application was production ready. So by creating the application with chassis, the application is production ready. Another cool thing is the feature rollout that I talked previously. So one good example is a couple of weeks back, we needed to roll out a new feature for logging. That feature was to prevent PII information to leak in logs. So what we did is we implemented that feature in chassis, and developers only needed to update the chassis package version, and they automatically add that feature without having to make any change or install any additional packages. Regarding the adoption and feedback of the chassis framework, so we currently have 57 services using chassis. So we have chassis has been available for some months now, and one cool metric that we could collect is that 50% of new services were created. 50% of newly created services are using chassis. So the feedback has been very, very positive. The framework has been in constant evolution. And one thing that we implemented is that everyone at Farfetch can contribute to the framework with issues, or even if they have the time, they can create the merge requests to add functionality to the framework. So we want to make sure that the teams can participate in the life cycle of the framework, and by doing this, we make sure that the Farfetch, the chassis framework, is supporting all the most common use cases at Farfetch. Additionally, one other thing that we did to make the adoption easier is that we created a very extensive documentation, a very developer-oriented documentation, so the developers can easily check how they can create, for example, the application configuration file, the structure that they need to create that file with, and other customization that the framework enables. So for the future work, what we have planned, so we want to add an API to chassis, so that developers can make their applications resilient, and this is both on the server side, but also on the client side. So this is for chassis to expose an API to developers, so they can easily add things like rate limiting, fallback strategies, retries, timeouts, circuit breakers, so they can have those resilient strategies in their applications. Also, we want to add background job support to chassis since this is a common use case at Farfetch. Also add support for blob storage and also an API for handling HTTP cache control. So I hope this presentation was useful to help understand how a chassis pattern can be used to accelerate the initial development of an application by handling cross-cutting concerns in a service-oriented architecture, or even to facilitate the feature rollout. Please feel free to reach out in case you have any questions. In this slide, you can find my GitHub, my LinkedIn and Twitter profile. I will try to answer your questions as best as I can. And I think we can probably move to the Q&A part, Pedro.
That's right, Joel. Great. Thank you so much for your presentation. So we still have some time and we have 3 questions from the attendees to be answered. If you want to put a question, just use the moderator chat. And so the first question is from Vanessa. How did you allow the chassis framework to interact with other extensions that weren't developed by your team?
Okay, thank you. So good question. What we did is the framework. It's not mandatory to use the framework. So you can choose to use parts of the framework. For example, if you want the dependencies to be managed by chassis, you declare the dependencies in the application configuration file that chassis will read and initialize those dependencies for you. But if you don't want chassis to do that, you can manage dependencies by yourself. So, for example, if you want to have a technology that chassis currently not supporting, for example, a different type of database, you can manage that yourself, because developers still have complete control over the application or even the dependency container. So they can register things in the dependency container by themselves. That is the automation thing that we do with the framework. It's just so, in order to be straightforward, is an easy way for developers to have the dependency clients, but they don't need to use every feature of chassis, since the framework is modular.
Thank you, Joel. Next question from Bruno Dutra. How has the use of this pattern impact other libraries, frameworks that you have? What was the role of chassis in the current environment?
Okay, so what chassis, because we already had some frameworks. For example, we already had a logging framework and a monitoring framework. What chassis ended up doing was an abstraction for those frameworks. So what chassis does is installing those frameworks to the application, but all is abstracted by chassis. So you can think of chassis like a facade for some of other packages. But what we also did is, regarding the new features, we are solely implementing them on chassis. This is because we feel that chassis is a good opportunity to roll out new features to other applications where we can have more control about on how the application is initialized, and have more control about the parts, for example, the middlewares of the application.
Okay. And one last question from Bruno that I think could be a wrap-up of the presentation. With all those pros, why not enforce the use of the chassis through the whole organization?
Okay, so yeah, well, we feel that enforcing a framework it doesn't work for developers, because we want them to feel part of the life cycle of the framework. So what we did as a team is we try to advocate the framework with the teams. We try to explain the benefits of using the framework to the teams. So we do this kind of demos to the internal teams at Farfetch, and we feel that if we explain the benefits and if the teams think that the framework actually adds some value and adds some benefits to them, they should adopt the framework freely. We feel that that's the best option. By forcing a framework, we don't feel that would be the best approach. Also, we want to make sure that developers contribute to the framework and be a part of the development of the framework. Like I said, we want to make sure that the most common use cases are covered by the framework, and having this ecosystem where they can contribute, we feel that that's very positive to the growth of the framework.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you. And I think that's it. So once again, thank you, Joel, and thank you all for your time. Stay tuned for the next FTech Tech talk in June. And just to remind you, if you liked this talk and want to know more about us, you can check our YouTube channel, Farfetch People, where we put all the talks we did before. And if you are interested in knowing more about opportunities at Farfetch, go to farfetchcareers.com and look for the ideal job for you. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure for us. I hope to see you soon. Stay tuned.
Thank you.